Right now, dealerships are drowning in good Japanese bikes they just can't move. Clean titles, low miles, fire sale prices. We're counting down 7 models you can snag for dirt cheap thanks to overstock and brutal markdowns. And yes, the number 1 bike is shockingly cheap. Number 7. The Kawasaki Vulcan S. Back in 2015, Kawasaki introduced the Vulcan S, hoping to bring a fresh, modern twist to the cruiser world. On paper, it made a lot of sense. Take a lightweight chassis, borrow the proven engine from the Ninja 650, and give it a laid-back riding position. Boom! Instant success, right? The Vulcan S is powered by a 649 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled parallel twin engine, producing 61 horsepower and 46 pound-feet of torque. It comes mated to a 6-speed transmission and uses a low-maintenance belt final drive. A nice touch for cruiser fans tired of chain upkeep. At a wet weight of 498 pounds and a seat height of just 27.8 inches, the Vulcan S is extremely manageable for newer riders and shorter folks. Add in the clever Ergo Fit system, which allows riders to swap out different seat, handlebar, and foot peg setups, and it should have been a tailor-made success story. But here is the problem. Cruiser buyers are fiercely loyal to tradition. They want big displacement V-twins that rumble and shake. They want chrome, fat tires, and a mechanical feel. The Vulcan S, with its smooth revving parallel twin, quiet operation, and sporty undertones, just does not deliver that emotional old-school cruiser experience. Meanwhile, sport bike riders looking to slow down and relax found the Vulcan too soft and uninspiring. It lacks the high-revving scream or the adrenaline hit they are used to. It is stuck in the middle. Not authentic enough for cruiser guys, and even the styling has been a sore spot. The teardrop tank looks oddly proportioned, the exposed frame rails do not scream premium, and overall, it looks a bit unfinished compared to classic American bikes. At a starting price of, many buyers simply turn to lightly used Harley-Davidson Sportsters, Indian Scouts, or Yamaha Bolts instead, bikes that feel more like true cruisers. As a result, Vulcan S models have been languishing in dealership showrooms across the country since around 2021. Now, many dealers are offering massive incentives just to clear them out. Think free accessories, extended service plans, and heavy discounts off MSRP. Some even bundle free queue, windscreens, and installation to sweeten the pot. Here is the kicker. If you want a lightweight, reliable, modern cruiser for cheap, there is almost no better value out there right now than a leftover Vulcan S. Want something roomier and built to crush miles, but also collecting dust? Step up to the next misunderstood bagger tourer. But before we go, tell us what you ride and where you ride in the comments below. We would love to hear your story. Number 6. The Honda CTX 1300. When Honda introduced the CTX 1300 in 2014, it was clear they were aiming for something different. They wanted a machine that could cruise comfortably across the country but still feel approachable for riders who were getting older, downsizing, or just looking for a more manageable alternative to a full-dress tourer. Powering the CTX 1300 was a 1,268 cubic centimeter longitudinal V4 engine, a slightly tamed version of the motor found in the ST 1300 Sport Tourer. Honda tuned it for low-end grunt rather than top-end rush, delivering around 81 horsepower and 78 pound-feet of torque. The engine was smooth, quiet, and perfectly suited for long-distance rides, matched to a 5-speed transmission and a maintenance-free shaft drive. At 730 pounds wet, the CTX was no lightweight, but the low 29.1-inch seat height and wide, easy handlebars helped it feel smaller once you were rolling. Fuel capacity sat at 5.1 gallons, giving it decent range for a cruiser touring hybrid. Honda packed it with features riders usually had to pay extra for: standard ABS, traction control, integrated hard saddlebags, and even Bluetooth speakers on the deluxe model. Comfort and convenience were baked in from the beginning. Where things started to go sideways was the styling. The CTX 1300 carried a wide, almost bulbous front fairing with slim, almost stubby rear proportions. It was hard to tell if it wanted to be a power cruiser, a luxury bagger, or a futuristic experiment. Many riders looked at it once, scratched their heads, and moved on. Performance was another sore spot. While the engine was refined and steady, it lacked the punch and excitement riders expected from a big V4. Passing power was there, but the bike delivered it in such a smooth, muted way that it felt almost disconnected from the road. Riders who wanted a bit of thrill when rolling on the throttle found themselves wishing for more. Price did not help the situation. Starting around $17,000, the CTX 1300 was knocking on the door of Goldwing territory without offering the same prestige, reputation, or resale value. For just a little more money, buyers could have a full-blown Goldwing or a Harley Davidson bagger, bikes that carried stronger brands and bigger emotional pull. By 2018, CTX 1300s had quietly backed into dealership corners, often pushed behind rows of more traditional cruisers and sport tourers. Today, they still pop up with almost no miles on them, heavily discounted, bundled with free accessories, or sold with multi-year warranties included just to get someone to take them home. Underneath its awkward styling, the CTX 1300 remains a smooth, durable, and incredibly comfortable machine. But in a world where emotion often drives buying decisions, function alone was not enough to save it. From comfy and confused to outright legendary, here's a halo bike that's suddenly a bargain missile. Number 5. The Suzuki Hayabusa. When the Suzuki Hayabusa first hit the streets in 1999, it was a bombshell. Nobody had seen anything like it. A bike so fast it forced a gentleman's agreement between manufacturers to limit top speeds. With its massive 1,340 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine, the Hayabusa shattered records, pushed boundaries, and instantly earned a spot in motorcycle history. The latest generation, updated in 2021, still carries that legendary DNA. The heart of the beast is a 1,340 cubic centimeter, liquid-cooled, DOHC inline-4 engine producing 187 horsepower and 110 pound-feet of torque. It is mated to a slick 6-speed transmission, features a ride-by-wire throttle, multiple power modes, cornering ABS, launch control, cruise control, and a full electronic suite. Fuel capacity stands at 5.3 gallons, and wet weight tips the scales at 564 pounds. Not exactly featherweight, but planted and stable at speed. On paper, it sounds unstoppable, and on the open road, it still is. Few bikes offer the same sensation of effortless high-speed cruising, where triple-digit speeds feel like a casual stroll. But despite its awe-inspiring performance, the Hayabusa has been struggling hard to move off showroom floors since about 2020. The reasons are simple. First, rider priorities have changed. 2 decades ago, top speed bragging rights mattered. Today, riders want versatility. Bikes that can handle city commutes, weekend trips, and twisty roads without burning through a paycheck in tires and fuel. Second, the Hayabusa is expensive to own. Insurance premiums are brutal, even for experienced riders with clean records. Tires wear out quickly, thanks to all that horsepower and weight. Maintenance, from valve adjustments to chain care, costs a premium. And the sticker price? $18,599 for the base model, before dealer fees and taxes, makes it a tough sell when lighter, cheaper, and more versatile bikes like the Yamaha MT-10 or Kawasaki Ninja 1000 SX are sitting right next to it. Third, despite the updates, the new Hayabusa looks very much like the old one. Some fans love that familiarity. Others, especially younger riders, feel it looks bulky and dated next to more aggressive, sharper designs coming out of Europe and Japan. Dealerships have noticed. Across the country, Hayabusas are gathering dust. To move inventory, dealers are now offering thousands off MSRP, throwing in free maintenance packages, discounts on accessories, and slashing finance rates to historic lows. In some cases, you can score a brand new Hayabusa for the price of a high-end middleweight sport bike. The bottom line? If you have always dreamed of owning one of the fastest, most iconic motorcycles ever made, this might be the best window you will ever get. If this is saving you time and cash, tap like and subscribe so you don't miss the next hidden deal. Think that was wild? Honda's bike of the future confused everyone, and dealers are still begging you to take it. Number 4. The Honda DN01. Every now and then, Honda decides to throw caution to the wind and create something wildly different. Sometimes it works. Sometimes you get the DN01. Introduced back in 2008, the Honda DN01 was Honda's attempt to merge a cruiser's relaxed riding position with a sport bike's handling and a scooter's automatic convenience. On paper, it sounded revolutionary. A machine that could appeal to experienced riders wanting a no-fuss experience and newcomers intimidated by manual gearboxes. At the heart of the DN01 is a 682 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled V-twin engine, making around 61 horsepower and 45 pound-feet of torque. It is paired with Honda's innovative human-friendly transmission, HFT, a continuously variable automatic transmission, CVT, that lets you twist the throttle and go, no shifting required. Weighing in at a hefty 595 pounds wet and carrying a 4-gallon fuel tank, the DN01 sits low with a manageable 27.2-inch seat height. The bike also featured a unique final drive system, a chain enclosed in an oil bath inside a cast aluminum swing arm, and Honda's combined ABS braking system, providing linked braking front to rear. Sounds clever, right? And it was. Technologically, the DN01 was brilliant, but here's the catch. Motorcycle buyers, especially in the United States, are emotional buyers. They want soul, they want character, and the DN01, despite all its engineering, felt sterile. Cruiser fans hated the automatic transmission. For them, part of the joy of riding is working the clutch, feeling the power build through each shift. Sport bike riders turned up their noses at the DN01's modest performance and heavy curb weight. It was neither fast nor nimble enough for their tastes. Scooter enthusiasts found it too big, too intimidating, and too expensive compared to their nimble, city-friendly machines. Speaking of expensive, that was the final nail in the coffin. When the DN01 launched, it carried a jaw-dropping price tag of around $15,000. For perspective, you could buy 2 decent motorcycles for that kind of money at the time, or a very good used Harley, or a brand new mid-size cruiser with better touring ability. The futuristic styling, low-slung, aggressive, almost alien, split opinions even further. Some thought it looked cool, like something Batman would ride. Most, however, just thought it looked weird. Since around 2020, leftover DN01s have been gathering dust in back corners of dealerships and popping up on used markets at bargain basement prices. Dealers desperate to move stock have bundled in free gear, accessories, or discounted them by thousands just to clear floor space. The irony is, if you can live with its oddball looks and unique nature, the DN01 is actually a great daily rider. Smooth, comfy, reliable, and attention-grabbing. Honda took a big risk, and it missed. From strange to savage, the next picks jump from track breed punishment to beginner bike letdown before we land on a mile-eating monster dealers can't give away. Number 3. The Yamaha R6. For over 2 decades, the Yamaha R6 was the dream bike of every rider who wanted to carve corners like a racer. First introduced in 1999, it set a new standard for middleweight supersports. It was light, sharp, and so brutally focused that it made every back road feel like a MotoGP circuit. The heart of the R6 was its 599 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled inline-4 engine, revving all the way to an ear-piercing 15,000 RPM. Later models pushed out an impressive 122 horsepower, matched to a 6-speed transmission with a slipper clutch. Weighing just 419 pounds wet and holding 4.5 gallons of fuel, the R6 felt razor-thin and agile underneath the rider. With fully adjustable suspension front and rear, radial-mounted brakes, and a lightweight aluminum frame, the R6 begged to be ridden hard. On a track day or a twisty mountain road, there was almost nothing better. The bike leaned over effortlessly, cornered with laser precision, and rewarded riders who pushed it to its limits. But away from the racetrack, the R6 was a punishing machine. The aggressive ergonomics were designed for lap times, not comfort. Low clip-on handlebars, high rear-set foot pegs, and a seat that felt like a plank made even short city rides a test of endurance. Commuting on an R6 felt like riding a missile built for war through peacetime traffic. Insurance premiums were sky high too, thanks to the bike's reputation for speed and risk. Maintenance costs piled up with expensive valve adjustments, premium tires that wore out quickly, and high-performance brake pads that needed regular replacement. Owning an R6 was not just a commitment to speed, it was a commitment to an expensive, high-maintenance lifestyle. By the time 2021 rolled around, tightening emissions regulations and changing market tastes sealed the R6's fate. Yamaha officially discontinued the street-legal version in most markets, shifting focus to the more user-friendly R7. For dealerships, that left a pile of 6 Rand coins sitting unsold. Riders who wanted a fast bike were opting for naked bikes like the MT-09 or more practical supersports like the Ninja 600 ZX6R, which offered a better balance of comfort and performance. The hardcore track day crowd was simply too small to keep sales alive. Today, leftover R6 models can still be found gathering dust in showrooms. Many are deeply discounted, with dealers offering heavy rebates, low-interest financing, and even bundling free track day memberships just to move inventory. In some places, you can pick up a brand new R6 for less than a high-spec middleweight naked bike. The R6 remains one of the finest track machines ever built, but it is a tough sell for the real-world rider who needs comfort, versatility, and lower costs. That's a race bike too hardcore for most riders. But what about a so-called beginner bike that nobody wanted at all? Number 2, the Suzuki GSX 250R. When Suzuki unveiled the GSX 250R in 2017, it looked like a solid move. Sporty styling, an approachable engine, and the trusted GSXR name hinted at a beginner bike that could be both affordable and fun. But the GSX 250R turned out to be a swing and a miss. The bike is powered by a 248 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine, making a modest 24 horsepower and around 17 pound-feet of torque. It comes paired to a 6-speed transmission, weighs in at 392 pounds wet, and carries a 4-gallon fuel tank. With a seat height of 31.1 inches, it is accessible enough for most riders, and its upright ergonomics offer a relaxed, forgiving riding position. In theory, the GSX 250R should have been the perfect starter machine, lightweight, unintimidating, and cheap to run. But buyers quickly realized that looks can only take a bike so far. Despite the aggressive styling inspired by its GSXR big brothers, the GSX 250R simply lacked the excitement expected from a sport bike. Acceleration was sluggish, especially compared to rivals like the Kawasaki Ninja 400 or the Yamaha R3. Twisting the throttle hard delivered more noise than speed, and highway riding felt strained, with the engine buzzing at high RPM just to keep up with traffic. Overtaking required careful planning, long runways, and a bit of luck. The suspension was another weak point. Softly sprung and underdamped, it soaked up potholes but wallowed during spirited riding. Cornering felt vague, robbing beginners of confidence rather than building it. Braking performance was adequate but uninspiring, with a single disc up front and a basic rear setup doing the work. Even the price, initially pitched as a selling point, worked against it. At around $4,600 new, it undercut some competitors by a few $100, but for not much more money, riders could have something vastly better. A Ninja 400 with nearly double the horsepower, better brakes, better handling, and sharper looks. As word spread, the GSX 250R's reputation faded fast. Dealerships found themselves sitting on inventory, offering deeper and deeper discounts to shift bikes that nobody was coming in asking for. It did not help that Suzuki's marketing push for the bike was almost non-existent, leaving it largely invisible on the showroom floor. Today, GSX 250 rupees are often bundled with free helmets, jackets, and discounted service packages. Some dealerships are knocking thousands off the sticker price just to clear space for models that actually sell. If your expectations are modest, city commuting, short trips, and easy maintenance, the GSX 250R can be a cheap, reliable partner. But for most beginners looking for that first taste of real excitement on two wheels, it fell flat the moment the engine fired up. From underpowered to overwhelming, the number one bike on this list is a massive sport tourer that dealerships flat out can't move. Number 1. The Kawasaki Concourse 14. The Kawasaki Concours 14 was supposed to be the perfect marriage of speed, comfort, and long-distance touring muscle. When it launched in 2008, it felt like a revelation, a big-bore sport bike disguised in sensible clothing, ready to devour highways and mountain passes in one effortless swoop. At the core of the Concours 14 lies a 1,352 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine, borrowed and slightly retuned from the fearsome ZX-14R. It produces a massive 156 horsepower and 136 pound-feet of torque, paired to a smooth 6-speed transmission and a maintenance-free shaft drive system built for heavy-duty touring work. With a wet weight of around 690 pounds and a fuel tank holding 5.8 gallons, the Concours was never a lightweight, but once moving, it carried its heft with surprising grace, especially in high-speed sweepers where stability mattered most. Kawasaki packed the bike with serious touring features: linked ABS brakes, an electronically adjustable windshield, heated grips, a tire pressure monitoring system, and cavernous hard saddlebags that blended neatly into the sleek bodywork. Later models added traction control and a keyless ignition system, keeping the Big Connie in step with modern demands. On paper, it looked like the ultimate do-it-all machine. In practice, it delivered breathtaking speed, bottomless power, and rock-solid long-distance comfort for riders willing to tame it. But by the time 2020 rolled around, cracks had started to show. The Concours 14, once seen as cutting-edge, began feeling heavy and dated next to newer sport tourers and adventure bikes. Riders gravitated toward machines like the BMW R1000 RS, Yamaha Tracer 9 GT, or even high-end adventure tourers like the Africa Twin, which offered lighter weight, better fuel economy, updated tech, and easier around-town handling. In an era where versatility and ease of use became the dominant forces, the Concours' sheer size and weight became a liability. Low-speed maneuvering in parking lots could be a wrestling match. City commuting was awkward at best. Even the heat management from the massive engine could be brutal during summer riding. Price became another sticking point. Brand new, a Concours 14 carried a sticker starting around $15,999. Once you added a few accessories or paid dealer fees, the final price often pushed closer to 17 grand. Serious money in a market flooded with lighter, tech-filled alternatives. As sales slowed, dealerships were left sitting on stock, trying every trick in the book to move them. Heavy discounts, bundled accessories, generous trade-in offers. Some even offered extended warranties and free service intervals to sweeten the pot. Today, the Concours 14 remains an absolute bargain for riders who understand what it is: a high-speed, high-comfort rocket ship built for the open highway, not tight city streets. It still crushes miles like few bikes can, and the engine's endless torque remains addictive for anyone with a heavy right hand. But for modern buyers chasing lighter, leaner, smarter machines, the Concours 14 simply feels like a relic from a different era. That's our list of 7 Japanese motorcycles dealers just can't move, but you can scoop them up dirt cheap if you know where to look. Which one would you grab for the right price? Drop your pick in the comments. We read everyone. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow.